Have you ever pondered why so many folks don't make it much past 80 in good shape? It's often down to these 4 key factors. Hitting 80 is quite the achievement. But keeping your vitality going strong after that isn't just about good fortune. It requires real insight. You see, there are 4 subtle yet potent elements that start undermining the body as the years add up. A lot of people never bring them up until things have gone too far. And plenty don't even catch on to how these hidden troubles are sapping their vitality, sharpness, and general well-being until it's all caught up with them. In this video, we're diving into the 4 genuine culprits behind why most struggle to thrive long after 80. These aren't pulled from thin air. They're grounded in years of scientific studies and real-life stories. And when you grasp them, you'll realize it's not chasing eternal youth. It's safeguarding your vigor, your self-reliance, and your serenity for the long haul. Stick around till the finish, because that 4th one could catch you off guard, and it might be the biggest game changer. All right, let's jump in. First up, that sneaky chronic inflammation, speeding up the wear and tear. One of the most underrated threats to our health after the age of 80 isn't a virus, a fall, or even a major diagnosis. It's something far more subtle, creeping along quietly in the background. Doctors call it inflammaging, that slow, low-grade, ongoing inflammation that builds up in the body as the years roll on. Now, don't confuse this with the kind of swelling you see after twisting an ankle or cutting your finger. This isn't the kind of redness or puffiness you can spot in the mirror. This is different. It simmers inside, at a level so quiet you don't even feel it. And it chips away at your cells, tissues, and organs day after day, year after year. And where does it come from? Honestly, from decades of everyday living. Long-term stress, processed food, poor sleep, sitting too much, air pollution, even the natural wear and tear of aging itself. All of that stacks up and keeps your immune system in a constant low-burn mode. The problem is, when inflammation becomes the norm, it doesn't just make you feel sluggish. It slowly weakens nearly every system in your body. Your heart, your brain, your joints, even your defenses against illness. Take Henry, for example. He's an 82-year-old gentleman from a quiet neighborhood in Ontario. A man who never touched a cigarette, stayed away from alcohol, and made a habit of taking his daily walks. On paper, he looked like the model of healthy aging. And yet, every morning, he woke up tired, achy, and a little foggy. His doctors didn't find anything major during routine checkups. It wasn't until deeper blood work was done that the real culprit came to light. Elevated inflammation markers. Nothing dramatic, no headline disease, just this slow-burning fire that had been going on inside his body for years. That's the tricky part. As we age, the body's ability to regulate inflammation weakens. Things you could brush off in your 50s or 60s, like snacking on packaged foods, skipping a few hours of sleep, or being sedentary for too long, start to hit a lot harder after 80. Your resilience fades, your bounce back slows, and little by little, you find yourself more prone to memory lapses, heart strain, stiffness, and that general sense of frailty. And here's the kicker. Most people have no idea it's happening. This slow simmer rarely makes itself obvious until it's already taken a heavy toll. But here's the good news. You're not powerless against it. In fact, some of the best defenses are simple, accessible, and cost nothing. Filling your plate with colorful fruits and vegetables, staying physically active each day, carving out time for restful sleep, and keeping stress in check. These aren't glamorous fixes, but they're incredibly effective. They don't switch off inflammation overnight, but every single choice you make helps turn the dial down a little bit. When you reduce that silent fire inside, you give your body the space to recover, to stay stronger, and to protect itself far beyond age 80. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. And every step you take toward lowering inflammation is really a step toward adding more healthy, vibrant years to your life. Next up, let's talk about that slow but steady drain of muscle mass that creeps in with age. the very thing that leads to frailty and those unexpected tumbles. You see, starting right around age 60, our muscles quietly begin to shrink. It's not dramatic at first, just a sliver of strength slipping away year after year. But after 80, that trickle turns into a much faster slide. Doctors have a name for it: sarcopenia. Now, this isn't something that announces itself with fireworks. It sneaks in quietly, showing up in the tiniest ways. You might notice you're fumbling with a stubborn jar lid that used to twist open without effort. Or you might catch yourself pushing a little harder with your hands to rise out of a chair. Maybe those steps up to the porch suddenly look like a small mountain, so you start avoiding them. At first, these things feel so minor, you almost brush them off. But taken together, they're whispers of a bigger change happening inside your body. Here's the catch. Muscle isn't just about lifting groceries or showing off strength. It plays a starring role in balance, in protecting those fragile joints, in keeping blood sugar steady, and even in fueling your metabolism so you feel energized. When those muscles melt away, the risks multiply fast. Suddenly, slips become more common, fractures lurk around the corner, and the ability to live independently can shrink overnight. Take Robert, for instance. He's 84 and lives out in the English countryside. A cheerful man, sharp-minded, always keeping himself busy around the house and garden. He thought he was doing just fine, still managing daily life on his own, still feeling pretty sturdy. Then one ordinary afternoon, he snagged his foot on the edge of a loose carpet. Down he went, and the fall left him with a fractured hip. In the hospital bed afterward, Robert realized with shock just how much strength he had lost in recent years. The power he thought was still there had quietly slipped away. That's the danger after 80, the way muscle loss speeds up and snowballs. One fall means weeks of bed rest. And bed rest, as you know, drains even more strength. Before long, the cane becomes a daily companion. Activities you once loved feel out of reach, and the circle of life shrinks smaller and smaller. Independence, freedom, the joy of simple routines, suddenly, they're hanging by a thread. But here's the hopeful part. This decline is not carved in stone. You can slow it down, and in many cases, even reverse it. The body still responds beautifully to the right nudges, even in your 80s and beyond. Simple daily walks, those regular rambles through the park or around the neighborhood, keep muscles firing and joints lubricated. Light weights, maybe just a pair of dumbbells or some stretchy resistance bands, used twice a week, can rebuild lost strength little by little. Protein-rich meals, eggs, beans, fish, lean meats, feed those muscles and give them the raw material to grow. Gentle stretches keep you limber, flexible, and less prone to injury. The key is consistency. These little pushes, when practiced regularly, stack up into something powerful. No one's asking you to train like an athlete or run marathons. It's about staying strong enough for the essentials, tending the garden without fear of stumbling, hauling those grocery bags in from the car, or simply rising each morning with the confidence that your body will carry you through the day. Think of your muscles as the body's quiet heroes. They don't clamor for attention, but they support every move you make, every bit of independence you cherish. And after 80, nurturing them could be the very thing that helps you not just survive, but truly thrive. So, if you're still hanging in with us in this video and you're picking up these nuggets of wisdom, let's make it interactive. Drop a 2 in the comments so I know you're here and engaged. And hey, if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that button and ring the bell so you never miss a future tip. Your encouragement keeps us going, creating content that not only informs, but inspires. Onward we go. Third, skimpy sleep that saps both body and brain. Sleep changes as we age, but not always in a smooth or gentle way. Plenty of older adults struggle with drifting off, staying asleep through the night, or reaching that deep, restorative stage where the body truly heals. After 80, the cost of poor sleep shows up more sharply in how you think, how steady you walk, how often you get sick, and even how much joy you can pull from the day. The decline doesn't usually happen in one big crash. It creeps in quietly. Maybe you notice more afternoon fatigue, those heavy eyelids right when you want to be alert. Maybe you catch yourself forgetting simple things or snapping at loved ones over minor stuff. The truth is, sleep isn't just passive downtime. It's when your body repairs, your brain clears away waste, your immune system recharges, and your energy tank refills. Cut sleep short or make it shallow, and those vital fixes get left unfinished. Take Margaret, for example. She's 86, living in a cozy town in California. For years, she shrugged off waking up 3 or 4 times a night, telling herself, "That's just aging. Nothing I can do about it." But gradually she noticed changes. Her memory wasn't as sharp, her energy faded, and she caught colds more easily. When she finally brought it up to her doctor, she was surprised by what she heard. Sleep isn't just optional rest. It's one of the cornerstones of brain power, balance, and resilience. With a few small tweaks, setting a regular bedtime, cutting back on late coffee and wine, and making her bedroom darker and quieter, Margaret slowly got her edge back. She felt steadier, more alert, and more herself again. The problem is, too many seniors resign themselves to lousy sleep, believing it's simply part of getting older. But it doesn't have to be that way. There are practical changes that can make a big difference. Keeping a consistent wind-down routine, soaking in natural morning sunlight, making the bedroom cool and silent, even adding short walks or light exercise during the day. All of these can deepen nighttime sleep. Past 80, quality sleep becomes just as critical as eating nourishing foods or preventing falls. It shapes your mental clarity, your balance and coordination, your immune strength, and your energy for enjoying life. The goal isn't to chase longer hours in bed, it's to improve the richness of the hours you do sleep. And that simple shift, prioritizing deeper, more restorative sleep, might be one of the smartest moves you can make for staying sharp, strong, and resilient in your later years. Fourth, isolation and drifting without a daily spark. There's a quiet but powerful risk that creeps into life for many people in their 80s and beyond. It isn't a disease, a virus, or a diagnosis you'll find on a medical chart. It's something subtler, feeling cut off, feeling that the days no longer carry purpose. And here's the kicker. It doesn't only wound the heart, it actually chips away at the body too. Study after study shows that long-term loneliness and a life without meaningful routine can shorten a person's years just as much, or sometimes even more, than some chronic conditions. As time passes, the natural shrinking of one's world becomes almost unavoidable. Friends pass on, children move to other cities or even countries, health restrictions limit outings, and slowly, often without realizing it, many elders end up spending more hours in solitude. Not only in the physical sense of being alone in a house, but in the emotional sense of feeling left outside the flow of life. Take Thomas, for example. He's 88, living in a quiet European village. He lost his wife half a decade ago, and though he has grown children, they live across borders, far from daily touch. His days are orderly, he flips through TV channels, cooks his meals, and keeps his home tidy. But here's the part that gnaws at him. Sometimes entire days slip by without exchanging a single word with another human being. What Thomas longs for isn't noise, or crowds, or constant activity. What he aches for is significance, the sense that he still matters, that someone out there is counting on him, that his presence still carries weight. We humans are wired for connection. And after 80, as jobs end, family responsibilities lighten, and community involvement shrinks, what fades isn't just conversation, it's identity. The quiet whisper of, "Why get up today?" becomes heavier. Over time, that dull ache influences the immune system, disrupts brain chemistry, and drains the will to stay active. But here's the good news. Rekindling a spark doesn't require grand gestures. Purpose can live in the smallest of acts. Tending a garden, writing letters to grandchildren, calling a friend each morning, feeding the birds outside, lending a hand to a neighbor. These seemingly tiny choices stitch meaning joy, and rhythm back into life. Reaching out, even awkwardly or imperfectly, often brings warmth to both sides. Of course, being alone and feeling lonely are two different things. Many older adults find peace and even strength in solitude. But when silence turns into invisibility, when a person begins to feel surplus to life, the body and mind take the hit. That's why one of the most important questions to ask, whether of yourself or of an elder you love, is, what gives you purpose right now? Once found, guard that purpose fiercely. Treat it like medicine, because in a very real sense, it is. And if you're still with us, soaking in these reflections, drop the word "for" in the comments so we know you're here. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you won't miss out on future uplifting, eye-opening stories. Your support fuels us to keep creating videos that matter. Wrapping up, if you've stuck through, pause and mull, not in dread, but awareness. Thriving past 80's a boon. Yet truth? Many arrive worn out. Not from neglect, but unawares of those stealthy saboteurs. Inflammation sneaking, muscles waning, sleep skimping, bonds fraying, they nibble gradual. By full reveal, harm's set. But knowing empowers. This vid's not to fret you, but equip to nudge that ongoing shifts count big. Picks this week, month, year mold your motion, cognition, sensation in 80's plus. What hit home? Inflammation's sly advance, or strength's fragility, sans action. Perhaps sleep's deeper role, or connection rivaling pills. Whatever, make it action. Not trivia, a pivot to commit to self, spirit, aim. Growing old's not dimming, it's honing. Picking priorities, shielding them, shedding else. You've merited this phase wise and robust. Demand it. Thanks for tuning today. Spill in comments, one takeaway, and your apply plan. Your input fires us up big. If this clicked, like, sub, share. It amps our output of informing, inspiring goods. Catch you next video.